What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex Yu, and you're watching the Marvel edition of the Ragin Nation show. This is just web series we're talking about all things matter to me in the world of Marvel films. This is episode number 125, and in this episode, I'm going to do my spoiler chat review for Doctor Strange. In this episode, I am going to talk about a lot of spoilerific material. I'm going to discuss about specific things that I loved about this film and specific things that I thought could use some improvement. So let's just start from the beginning of the movie and Avengers Headquarters. That was a really cool nod to remind us that this film takes place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Of course, I'm sure everybody should know that by now, but Avengers Tower was right there smack in the middle, and then I was thinking, okay, this is cool. This is really, really awesome that they're referencing the Avengers, and this is not just a film where it just feels like a standalone film. It feels right in the same universe. Now, this film opens up with a bang, with the Zealots, killing the librarian and then stealing the pages of that book. And then, of course, the Ancient One going after them. That was such an awesome action sequence because, for me, it was jaw-dropping. I've never seen anything like that. They were doing martial arts with magic, and that was something completely unexpected. She was so cool, like doing her moves and, whipping out the fans and just fighting everybody with that while all this crazy stuff is just moving around in the background. And man, that was such an amazing action sequence. I was just like left in awe when I was watching that. And then fast forward, we get introduced to Doctor Strange and Christine Palmer. And I think, like I said before in my review, Doctor Strange, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, is perfect. But Christine Palmer, played by Rachel McAdams, was a bit of a waste. I like Rachel McAdams as an actress, but she really didn't bring anything to the table. It's kind of like a character that, if you remove her from the film, it's still the same movie, just minus the sort of love interest. It really doesn't do anything for the film, but think about it. If the scene where Doctor Strange needed to have surgery performed on him was performed by the other guy, the other surgeon that he didn't like, it's still the same movie. It really doesn't matter. So that's really too bad. Another actor that, was really, really weak was, of course, Mads Mikkelsen playing Caecilius. I thought Mads Mikkelsen would end up being a stronger villain like Loki. I really liked Loki as a villain in the Avengers. Not so much in Thor, but in the Avengers. I thought he would do something cool. I thought that he would really be a unique type of villain, even though he's a little bit different from a lot of the other villains in the sense that he thinks of himself as a good guy, not necessarily as evil. His motives are intended as good from his perspective. That was interesting. I like that was a little bit different, but at the end of it all, he was still a very, very weak villain that is very flat. He doesn't really provide a whole lot in terms of a personality. So that's really unfortunate because they cast a really, really talented actor, but they didn't do anything that was really, stretched the villain's, persona. So that's really unfortunate about that. I did really love a lot of the visuals. As a matter of fact, when you watch Doctor Strange, you're going in for the visuals. It's such a mind trip. When they were fighting in the Sanctum Sanctorum in New York with all the relics, oh man, what a great fight sequence. I mean, he pulls out his whips and then the building is twisting and turning. Very, very unique. They're walking around on walls. And, it really reminds you of Inception, but you remember in Inception where the buildings are bending and folding and the city is just like folding? Like, we thought that was a really, really cool scene when we watched it. And as a matter of fact, we were thinking that we would love to see more of that. Doctor Strange is the answer to that. Holy cow. They have an entire chase sequence, which was the best sequence in the entire movie. That chase sequence, where they're in the mirror dimension and where they're getting chased, Baron Mordo and Doctor Strange were being chased by the Zealots. Holy cow. if you thought that the first opening sequence was amazing, this really outdoes that. Holy cow. They're just running around, buildings are folding, they're just like falling because like everything is not upright anymore, and oh man, I don't even know how to describe it except that this was unlike anything that we've ever seen. Now, in my review, I mentioned that the story is very formulaic. This is a formula we're very, very familiar with, but what is very different is, of course, the superhero action. It's not just about fighting and shooting things at each other and flying around. This is just using your mind to just bend reality, and it's really cool how they do that. They're basically using their mystical abilities and telekinesis and all kinds of crazy things to just fight each other. It almost feels like a battle of it's a battle of magical abilities. That's what it is. And the magical abilities are beyond anything that we could possibly comprehend. So that's why just like they can like twist and turn cities and just make things wow. Anyways, I'm at a loss for words when I'm describing that sequence because it just was so good. Once we get to the final act, we're treated to something very, very different. Now, we're so used to big battles and all that. After all, we've seen all these films in the previous Marvel Cinematic Universe films where it always ends in a big climactic finale. And this is something very, very different. I mean, he's going against Dormammu, which is like this being that exists in a dark dimension where time is irrelevant, right? And then so Doctor Strange uses his abilities to manipulate time and create this time loop. And I thought that while it was very, very different, very unexpected, I was expecting a big battle, this was something that I thought was really, really clever. Like, it worked. The more I think about it, I thought it really, really worked. And it was really an extension of his heightened abilities. And that was actually pretty cool. Where, before he was learning to use his abilities, then later on he was running away from the Zealots in that mind-bending chase sequence. But now he's really able to do something, and do something really, really grand that saves the world. And he does it in a very different way compared to the rest of the Avengers. It's just like what what Wong said, the Avengers, protect the world from physical threats. They defend the world, safeguard it from more mystical threats. So that's what he's doing. He's doing it in a very mystical way, and it totally worked. I even loved how he was able to do everything in reverse. And while everything was going in reverse, a lot of those things that are flying around, like buildings crumbling down, cars get thrown around, being thrown around in reverse, they still have to, exist in real time while those things are flying around in reverse. So what an amazing concept. I mean, Scott Derrickson really, he was able to bring forth to the big screen some very fresh visuals and fresh concepts that I would have never imagined would be possible. So wow. That was a really, really great sequence. You know what didn't work for me? I'll tell you what didn't work for me. It did nothing for me. The outer body fights. When Scott Adkins, he was playing Lucian, and Doctor Strange were fighting around in the hospital, flying around with their souls. That outer body fight really didn't do anything for me. It was something that I felt was kind of lazy, but it was, of course, an extension of the character. And I know they had to add in something like that, but it was just it was almost just like a visual gag. It was almost like a humorous sequence. And that's something I didn't really care for. Something that I thought really stole the show was the Cloak of Levitation and Benedict Wong. I think that Benedict Wong as Wong, he's just such a likable character. He's a very serious, no-nonsense type of character, and then at the end where you see him laughing, that was really, really funny. I think that was a really, really funny moment, because I'll tell you, a lot of the humor, half of the humor, I would say, doesn't really work in this film. It feels very, very forced. I mean, that whole that whole talk about Wong, that's your only name, kind of like Adele, Eminem, Drake, Bono. That felt really, really forced. I mean, he kept on going with that, and while it was funny, I mean, I'll tell you, all the stuff is funny, but you can tell that it was forced. Like, they just added that in because they thought that it would be funny. And it is funny, but it's not natural. It's not natural like how Ant-Man's humor is natural, because Scott Lang, he's naturally kind of goofy. Tony Stark is funny because of the way he is. It's an extension of his personality, right? But Doctor Strange's humor, while I think that Benedict Cumberbatch really is the perfect Doctor Strange, the humor really doesn't feel consistent with the script. You know, it just doesn't feel like it belongs there. So I gotta say that the humor does feel forced. What else would I want to talk about? I'm glad that this film it really breaks the mold in terms of the types of heroes that we're used to. Doctor Strange is a very unique type of hero. He uses magic. We're being introduced to the mystical world. And with the mystical world, they do a lot of very mystical things. Things that we would never have imagined in the previous films. Now, the only other character that would have done something like this would be Scarlet Witch with her telekinesis, right? Now, that's really, really cool, right? But they really brought that whole mysticism to a whole other, other level with all the psychedelic kaleidoscope style visuals. Like, wow, Scott Derrickson really knew what he was doing. The action is jaw-dropping, and I gotta say that this film is a lot like, it follows the Ant-Man and Iron Man origin story formula. I don't think that's a bad thing. It's not a bad formula. I mean, it's definitely a good formula that works, but it's just something that we've seen before. It plays out exactly like Iron Man, even in terms of the personality of Doctor Strange. He's arrogant, and he's reluctant to be this hero, but it's something that still works in the end. Disney is playing a very, very safe card with Doctor Strange. I thought they would be taking a risk with this film, but it was a very, very small risk. At the end of the day, they played a very, very smart, calculated move, and it's still the same type of movie that we've seen before, just with a very different character and very, very unique type of visuals. But other than that, I think that's all I really have to say about this film. Oh yeah, the end credits scene. So the end credits scene, we have two of them, mid credits, post credits, and so I was just thinking that is Doctor Strange going to actually appear in Thor Ragnarok? Maybe in the beginning, making a cameo appearance, or not at all? Or are we just going to go into Thor Ragnarok and then they just reference Doctor Strange helping them get there? Is that all we're going to see? I'm wondering if Doctor Strange is really going to make a cameo appearance. That would be cool. And of course, the end credits scene is definitely something that opens a door to a sequel. Doctor Strange 2. Of course, Baron Mordo, if you read the comics, is supposed to be a villain. He's a disciple of the Ancient One, and he eventually becomes an arch nemesis of Doctor Strange. So this is just the beginning of that. So that was really, really cool that they decided to throw that in the post credits, in the end credits scene. And you know, you see him taking away the powers of Pangborn, played by Benjamin Bratt, and so he's now back to being a paraplegic. And he says that there's too many sorcerers, so he wants to be the only other sorcerer. And then it suggests that he's going to go up against Doctor Strange, which is most likely going to be seen in Phase 4, which is probably going to be like 4 years from now. So it's going to be a while, but I'm at least glad that they're continuing on the series. There's more to it. We're going to see Doctor Strange again in Avengers Infinity War. Benedict Cumberbatch confirmed that, but I am really excited for Doctor Strange 2. As a matter of fact, I feel that Doctor Strange 2 is going to be the Doctor Strange film. Doctor Strange was formulaic. It was great. I loved it. Really enjoyed it. I want to watch it again, but I feel that Doctor Strange 2 will really be the Doctor Strange film that we've been waiting for. So hopefully it will be that. But anyways, that's really all I gotta say in this spoiler chat review for Doctor Strange. I really, really enjoyed it. I do want to watch it again, and I think that it's a character that is very, very much needed for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Things are about to get changed up quite significantly. in the next couple of films, and I'm excited about it. So that's all I got to say in this review or video, and hope you enjoyed it. And as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter at Ragin Nation. My name is Alex. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. Great job with the directing and also his vision for the film. The film is essentially divided into two halves. You got the first half where there's no battle take,